Hey, hey, it's Leanne and Simon.
Hey, hey.
Welcome.
Well, big welcome. Live from Thailand.
Uh,
No, we're not. Well, we're not live in Thailand, but we were going to be. So if you just joined us, we'll just wait for everyone to come and join us. We are live here on
Big Gold Coast.
the Ends Loving Life Now page.
And I'm going to do some sharing so you can talk
Get
to
some
everybody.
sharing and I'll have a chat. Well, great to be here. We've got the shadow in between us. Look. I don't know where it's coming from. Hi, if you just joined us, pop your details in, say a big hi. Hi, Peggy.
Hey, Peggy.
Hey, welcome to our Facebook Live.
I'm
live from Thailand.
We wish.
Well, we're not. Really. False advertising, we got told.
Yeah.
Well,
good.
we'll talk about that. Obviously, we were going to be live from Thailand, but we're not. We're live on the Gold Coast this evening. Debbie Sue, welcome. Hi, Shani, welcome to you.
Hello.
So if you've just joined us, come on, pop your details in. Let us know you're here. We've got a great topic here called Why People Conform. What a fantastic topic with what's going on in the hysteria around the country and around the world. We've got hysteria going on. We've got all sorts of stuff going on. We've got fear. We've got conforming. Everyone's having to conform.
Even us.
We're having to conform. And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about why people conform. We'll give you some feedback.
We were meant to be on a flight right now. We would have been there by now. We would have been having... What time is it?
It'll be 4:30 in the afternoon. We'd probably be having a swim in the pool.
No, we would have all... what day is it? It's Tuesday.
No, yesterday.
We would have been there yesterday.
We were there yesterday. We would have been. So look, we were coming to you live from... there you go. We'd be doing a live stream right now.
We would be.
From Thailand. But look, we're not. We are live on the Gold Coast. So
we are doing a live stream, but...
We'd already done our marketing edits up. So hence the reason why it still went out saying we were live in Thailand, because that was our plan until the last minute. But great to be here. Hi, Tony, on the sunny coast. See you there. And hey, Jeff, welcome.
Just sharing still.
And Lee's doing some more shares. So a big welcome to you all. If you've just joined us, pop your details in. Let us know you're here so I can welcome you to our Facebook Live. We've got a great topic this evening lined up called Why People Conform. And we are talking to you firsthand about having to conform to what is going on around the world at the moment. There's some crazy stuff happening, and it means that sometimes we have to conform, which we certainly had to do over the weekend. So let's get this stream underway. So, hi Lee, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? We're actually together.
We are together. Together.
No, as in we haven't actually seen each other.
Yeah, we haven't been together much lately. We've been, besides doing tours around the country, I've been up the sunny coast spending time with my mother, who is pleased to say out of hospital and home and managing okay, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. So on a road to improvement. That's the main thing. We're heading up there tomorrow.
We are.
So you're coming up with me. You haven't seen Mum since she's been unwell, so you're going to make the trip up to the sunny coast.
Yeah.
And we'll go and pick up my son from school and take him up there as well. So anyway, but that's besides that, it's been a crazy last 5 weeks with tours and road shows and international travel.
We've been everywhere. Lucky we got back from New Zealand before the
Yeah, well look, what
was it called?
So let's talk about our topic, why people conform, hey? So we had to conform on the weekend. We had a big decision to make. We were looking to fly to Thailand on Monday morning.
Yesterday.
Had to be at the airport. We're getting picked up from home at 5 a.m. yesterday morning by a driver to take us to the airport and flying to Singapore, transiting into Phuket. And we weren't concerned about going. We've got no issues with ourselves, our health, anything like that. But on the flip side, we've got my mum who's been really unwell and has no immunity. And if we did go away, there was a high risk of us coming back and having to conform to self-isolation and therefore wouldn't be able to see my mum. So that means we'd be away for a month. Lee's mum and dad also live with us, and
we've got obviously
kids.
Because
they're older as well, so they're in a high risk category, and we also have children, which we'd love to see and spend time with. So if we had to come home, our biggest concern around making the decision was that we would be forced into self-isolation if we returned to Australia for a 14-day period.
And this was on Saturday.
This was on Saturday, so we didn't know this, and we were looking to make, and I said to Lee, look, that's my biggest concern, is coming home and not being able to, spend time with the kids and go and see my mum who of course, would be looking to see me. So we made the tough decision not to go to Thailand, and of course the following day, the government released the mandatory self-isolation rule, which said that if you come back from overseas, you'd have to self-isolate. So the decision that we made was obviously the right one, although it was a tough decision. Sometimes you've just got to make those decisions, and in a way, we had to conform. We had to conform to what's going on. What's going on, the hysteria, the all sorts of shenanigans are going on around the place.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was really it for us, and we're grateful that we've made that decision. It was a weight off our shoulders once we made it.
Of course, but
disappointed because we wanted to be there, but we know that we also have a responsibility, and that's probably the big thing. We have a responsibility to ourselves and our families to make the right decision, just to be able to see them, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So we did. So anyway, we're here.
We are here.
We are here.
And we're live.
And we're going to talk about, you might rub people up the wrong way when you're looking to conform. That's one of the things.
Well, you're not allowed to do that at the moment. You're not even allowed a handshake. So
no rubbing people up the wrong way. No handshake. You got an elbow. You've got a fist pump. Fist pumping's good. So we've spoken about you can fist pump. We've told the kids they can fist pump, but no hugging and kissing your friends. You can elbow, and you can say hi. You can cross your heart and give them love like that, but don't breathe on them. So we're having to conform. We're finding ourselves in a situation where we're having to educate our children. We're having to educate and have conversations with them, just around awareness of things that they can do to keep themselves healthy. But what's important to us is the elderly around us. They're at a much higher risk with what's going on with COVID-19. So therefore, my mum, particularly, no immune system. And if I was to get anything and go and see her, that would, obviously put her in a very, very high risk situation. So I'm very conscious of that. And I have a responsibility at some level to respect that and respect the health of my mum, of course.
So Peggy says leg rub.
Leg rub.
What does that mean, Peggy?
You can rub each other's legs like a kick or a slide. So what else we got here? It's likely that you won't be able to take the helm and please other people around you when you're conforming. So you can't always make decisions and please everyone. And let me tell you, when we were making the decision on Saturday, we had a lot of people telling us why we shouldn't be going. Mm-hmm. Family members, particularly. My sister was a big advocate.
Dobbery.
Love your sister. A big advocate for you shouldn't be going. So she was shooting on me. You really need to rethink your decision. But, you got to make tough decisions in life, but you got to make them for yourself. And that's the important thing.
Well, funny, because I went to a high tea on Saturday with my friend Beck.
You did. You were in Brisbane.
And the lady, we were at a big table, and the lady that sat next to us, she's like, I think you should still go. And here's all the reasons why you should still go. And she was like fully for going.
Fully for going. Fully for going.
Yeah. So she was excited. But
and you know what? It's the old analogy of you'll either find a way to justify your decision to not do something, or you'll find a way to justify your decision for you making the decision to go and do it. So either way, you're going to be right because you'll justify it anyway. And that's not what I'm doing. I'm not justifying our decision at all here. I'm just explaining the decision process that we had to go through.
Gabby was the same, and Gabby was actually on her way to the Gold Coast when I spoke to her earlier. So she's diverted her plans from Thailand to Gold Coast.
Absolutely. Who's that? Charlotte's here from Barcelona, is she?
Yeah.
Hi, Charlotte.
Lockdown.
You're in lockdown and isolation, so great to have you here. You got plenty of time on your hands to join us on the stream. So what else? Why else do we conform, Lee? We've got some notes pinned up here in front of us just to keep us on track. But through our life as children, we are educated that if we follow the rules and we conform, we get rewarded, right?
Or it's more pleasant than if you do the wrong thing, right?
You do the wrong thing,
might
it's
not get
not
rewarded
so
necessarily, but it might just be a more pleasant experience.
Yeah. So certainly, that's something that we grow up with. We grow up with being taught to conform to all sorts of things. And look, there's some situations and some processes in life that I think conforming allows you to grow as an individual. And I know that, I went to a private boys' school through my education when I grew up. And, we have certain rules. There's rules and regulations. There's a certain way you've got to wear your uniform, and socks have got to be pulled up. We had to wear ties during summer and winter, and trousers in winter, and all sorts of things that we had to conform to. But I guess they're rules. And then as you educate yourself, it allows you to develop a sense of self-being or self-awareness that you can then decide as you grow up whether you want to conform to those rules, right? So as soon as I moved to the Sunshine Coast in 2000 and came out of the corporate world, one of the things I did was stop wearing a tie. And I thought, there is no way I'm living in Queensland on the Sunshine Coast.
I've never seen you in a tie.
Exactly. Doing business with people, business to business. I'm not doing ties. And there's a lot of people out there that still did that. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. So I didn't conform, and I got rid of the tie and ditched it and thought, no, I'm just going to have an open collared business shirt. I think it's a lot smarter. It's friggin' hot in Queensland, so why would you wear a tie? It's just stupidity. And then when you go and have a coffee, the tie swings in the wind and gets in your froth on your coffee. Just stupid stuff, right?
Right.
What's a tie for? Seriously, what's it for?
It looks good.
When?
It's just like women wearing high heels.
I didn't wear a tie to a wedding.
It's like women wearing high heels. They look good. They might not be very comfortable. They might not be ties
are a silly accessory to men's life.
It's an accessory. It's one of the only accessories that men wear. Us women have a lot of accessories.
Bow ties I'm into, right? I could do a bow tie, but
bow ties are geeky.
No, not geeky. What about when you go to a black tie event and you do a bow?
That's different.
Do a nice bow tie. What about one of those ones that lights up and spins around and shoots out water?
No. And I don't want to ever see you wear one.
Look, at bow ties I've worn, and you've seen me wear bow ties to black tie functions. But ties, come on. All the guys out there that are watching the stream this evening, I'm totally against ties. My nun's
totally with you, Simon.
Totally. When you're in that environment. So anyway, my purpose of sharing this is that you don't have to conform through your life. You can grow up and make decisions that, like an ashtray on a motorbike. What?
And Bernie said you must protect your coffee froth.
That's right. I'm so with you, Simon. I've never understood the tie. Great call. Yeah, thanks, Cindy. Just ridiculous.
Come on,
it really is.
Women backing me up.
Anyway, it's crazy. Well, you don't wear a tie, so I've stopped wearing high heels, says I snore. Bernie says, Mick says, good to put on sneakers on the bottom of the... What? Oh, good to put sinkers on the bottom of the tie.
So that's about fly around.
Oh, yeah, crazy. Anyway, so the purpose of that story was all about conforming. And society has us conforming in so many ways. And there's just an example that if you work in corporate and you've got to wear a tie. Well, no, you don't have to wear a tie. Says who?
Depends what business you work
in. Says who, right? My son has a gripe at me about having to go to school and conform to certain rules and regulations. And what the way I put it to him is, it's about setting you up for a higher standard in your life. So it's raising the bar. It's, if you're in the army, you've got to conform. If you're in certain industries, there are certain things you've got to conform with, and some of those are really important, and some of them are BS. Right? Mm-hmm. Let's face it. As an example, here's another one. So at a private school, the boys have to keep their hair cut short, but the girls can have long hair. Why is that? So why is that?
Boys have short hair and girls have long hair, typically.
But why is that?
Old school.
So why do boys have to conform and have their hair cut short if they don't want to, right? If the parents agree and the child agrees that they want to grow their hair, but the school says, but we have a standard to uphold and boys have got to have short hair, but we allow girls to have long hair.
I want to know which of the boys and which of the girls. I don't know. But
so anyway,
just as like funny actually, a necktie was originally for the working class to use as a bib, whereas a cravat was the same purpose for the upper class.
Yes. Well, that's true, and they're very much going by the wayside. I see less and less ties, and I'm glad that I made that decision.
Usually weddings.
Glad I made that decision many years ago to ditch the tie and get rid of them and Thank goodness. I never want to wear one again.
Well, a couple of people said ties are hot, so just...
They're hot. Yeah, they're hot. They make you hot.
No, you look hot in the right tie.
You can look hot in a great outfit. You do not need a tie.
Right. Simon's going to wear a tie when we go out one
You
day.
don't need a tie to look hot, let me tell you.
We're going to dress up and you're going to wear a tie.
Okay, so the simple truth is that we can escape encountering these influences daily, whether it encounters... Because we have conforming encounters with family members, work associates, media, strangers, various companies we use for services, people we hire, people who hire us. The list is endless and changes daily of all these things that we have to conform to. So, what are some of the reasons that people conform, Lee?
Well, one is the path of least resistance. So,
what does that mean?
So they accept opinions and create less conflict.
Right. So the path of least
create
resistance.
Conflict, basically. So just go with what everyone else is doing.
Go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Go with the flow. So let's go and buy toilet paper.
Oh, let's go and buy stacks of toilet paper to last us a year.
Yeah, we can, because we need to accept the opinions of others.
I don't know who started that. Like, seriously.
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway.
But it is becoming serious because, I've got to try and source toilet paper for my elderly mother. And
because we didn't go and stock up like everyone else.
And she doesn't like every brand. She has a particular brand that she likes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So anyway, so that's another interesting thing. So what's another thing, Lee?
Playing the victim.
Playing the victim. So why do people conform? They want to play the victim? Yes. It's easier to be the victim than to take responsibility. Because then, guess what?
It's not your fault.
It's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault. So to conform, people will play the victim and they will just follow suit because then it's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault. And that's another reason. So another one. Let's talk about another one. What else?
Being part of the herd.
Being part of the herd, yeah. Well, have you ever been part of the herd?
Oh, in my past I have.
Yeah, in your past life. I've been part of the herd.
In my past life. When I was younger, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I've been part of the herd when I've been working in corporate and working different roles and having to conform to, people's expectations. Actually, I'll tell you this. I've got a really good story to share with you. I used to manage department stores for one of Australia's largest retailers many years ago. And I left their employment after 12 and a half years of service. And towards the end, I was fascinated with having to conform when the big bosses came down from interstate and wanted to see the way the store looked. And we would have to bring in extra staff, make sure that the store was, of a ridiculously high standard. We had to make sure that we had our T's crossed and our I's dotted to ensure that the visit from the, hierarchy at corporate came down and they looked at the store and they thought, what a great job everyone's doing. And there was this one particular visit towards the end that I just thought, you know what? This is BS. Here we are actually pretentiously putting on a front to these people when this is not actually how the store operates. So I actually didn't follow suit to what I should have. And or what was expected of me. Is that why you didn't work there any longer?
So
I was actually pulled aside and questioned about it, saying the store's not up to standard. And I said, but what's the standard? I mean, what you're seeing is how we operate on the wages and the facilities that we have available to us. What they were expecting was us to then go and, cross our T's, dot our I's and make the store looking all pretty, just so that when hierarchy walked into the store, they could look at it, tell you you're doing a great job, pat you on the back and walk out. And they probably would have been there for 10 minutes. Anyway, that visit didn't go well in my favour because I didn't conform and I didn't follow through with what they actually expected of me. But I actually shared that opinion and said, I don't agree with us just falsifying this pretty environment and this pretty store just so you can come in and believe that this is how it always looks, which is not how it always looks. Mm-hmm. So anyway, not long after that, I left and found another role. So
another place to be in the herd.
No, well, yes and no. No, it was totally different. But, it's about conforming. We do it in all areas of our life.
Oh, there's so many places. I know when we go to concerts and everyone's leaving, it's like, I I want to go the opposite way. I don't want to follow everybody else.
Yeah, it's a good one. So part of the herd. So when you're part of the herd, is there anything else there that we need to talk about part of the herd? It's wrong to actually, see, that was it. It was wrong to actually prove them wrong because they were the leaders of the herd and they wanted me to be a part of the herd and conform. And it was wrong of me to buck the herd, right? And it was wrong. I had to take the consequences and live with that. So anyway, that's interesting. What else have we got?
Wanting to be liked.
Wanting to be liked.
So they conform because they don't want to not be liked. They don't want to be the outsider. They don't want to be the one that gets picked on. They don't want to be, they want to be, I suppose they want to hide in the herd. Let's put it that way.
Lots of people do want to hide in the herd because they feel safe. So they conform to what's going on. And so the next one is safety in the box, which is a bit like being in the herd, right? It can seem more safe or familiar if we have boundaries of the box. So we've got certain boundaries that we need to comply to. And if we comply to those, then we are conforming. So why do we conform? Because it's comfortable, it's safe. I'm inside the box. I can,
I know where the boundaries are.
Yeah. So people meet the boundaries and that's about it.
Fear of collapse.
What's that all about?
So for many of us, the fear of collapse is, I suppose, beliefs, way of thinking, behaviours, etc. So I suppose maybe having to come up with all those yourself rather than having them kind of told to you. So this is what you should believe. This is how it should be. This is how you need to do it. You don't have to think, right?
No, you're not meant to think when you're in the herd. Well, when you're conforming, right? When you're conforming. But like I said, there's lots of areas in life that we naturally conform to. And there's lots of us having to conform right now with regulations. If you fly internationally into Australia at the moment or into New Zealand, you go into self-quarantine for 14 days. And if you don't do that, you can be fined. So you have to conform, right? And there's good reasons why they want you to conform. They want to reduce the risk of spreading, the chances of the virus spreading, blah, blah, blah. So it's all about conforming. And there is situations in our life when we've got to conform. You can't drive down the wrong side of the road, right? Well, you can try, but you've got to conform. You've got to follow the traffic because if you don't, then you will absolutely cause mayhem and you could kill yourself. That's not going to be a good thing.
Absolutely. Leanne says people are staying in their comfort zones. That's exactly what the herd is.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's another reason why we conform?
Fear of incompatibility.
Incompatibility. All right, let me think about that one. So thinking that if we make our own decisions, we will create an even worse circumstance in our lives. Yeah. See, that keeps people stuck. That whole ability of if I create a different process or a different thought, then that's not going to work.
It's not going to go. People aren't going to like it.
No. And people won't like it. And then what happens is people become your stopper because people don't want you to do that. They don't want you to be incompatible with them. They don't want you to be out on your own. So they want to share your advice. They'll share their advice with you. People like staying outside. Most people expect you to be depressed now and can't understand why you're in an optimistic mood. I love that, Charlotte. That is so true.
Absolutely.
There's people out there. Look, Charlotte, you're in a city that's in lockdown and you would know more than anyone, only through reports and social media and what you hear and what you choose to see. And there's things that you choose to look at because you want to be informed, let's face it. It's like knowing the latest announcement that the government introduces for us had an impact on the decisions that we made over the weekend. So, we had to know for ourselves. What are the risks associated with the decisions? So are we making these decisions to conform to other people's expectations? No. We're making the decisions because we need to make positive decisions for our own well-being and the well-being of our family. So,
sure.
What else?
Another one is fear of punishment.
Fear of punishment. People conform because, Lee, if you don't do that, I'm going to give you a smack.
I could say something, but I'm not going to.
No, don't say anything.
So they don't want to get in trouble, more to the point.
They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to get punished. You know, when I was a kid at school, they used to have the cane. And I remember going to the principal's office.
You
and
were
I think
that
I was in
naughty boy.
No, I wasn't. I was in grade 5. Imagine that. So grade 5, and I'm thinking of my son now, who's in grade 7. So 2 years ago, I was his age. Not 2 years ago, but 2 years ago, when I remember being his age, right?
Right.
When he was
now
that
I'm
age.
confused, but
Yeah.
yes.
Anyway, and I remember getting the cane, and I remember going in. I
So
don't
you
even
were
know.
naughty because you got the
No,
cane.
it wasn't naughty. Maybe I just didn't.
You don't get the cane for being good.
I didn't conform to what the teacher asked me to do,
you were naughty.
and I got sent to the office, and that was the punishment, was the cane. And if you were really good, you could go with the way the cane hit your hand and like turn your hand at the same time. So it was the path of least resistance, so it didn't hurt as much. Because if you stuck your hand there and kept
done
it
it
there,
a few times then. So Leanne says there's always a silver lining. This is the time we can
spend with loved
ones, and otherwise that we wouldn't. It's a time to think about what's important and express gratitude for what we have.
Totally.
Tara, Liam had the cane at all the boys.
All the boys' schools. That's it.
It's
See?
so sad.
So Liam knows he can feel my pain.
Yes.
Feel my pain. Maybe
okay.
maybe that's what's wrong.
It's okay. You're almost 50 now. You'll get over it.
Shh.
So next one is ignorance.
Ignorance.
You
So
know that one,
why do people conform? Because they're ignorant. They're ignorant because they don't know any differently.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between being outwardly just ignorant or being ignorant to the fact of conforming because you don't know any different.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's a big one though.
What's the last one?
The last one.
Can you read my writing?
Yeah, the last one is ignorant.
No, listen.
But no, we've got this other bit to go through, which is so just something else that people do to conform. They justify their excuses it's just the way life works. It's just the way it is. I've got to do this because it's the way it is. So they justify.
Like they don't have a choice, basically.
Yeah, but it's like I said earlier. You'll either find reasons to justify your excuses and your decisions to not do something, or you'll find reasons to do it and create success. And you'll justify both of those, both good and bad. And that's what people do. And that's about, if you want to stop doing something, you'll justify it and you'll conform to what other people do. But if you want to create success and you want to buck the herd and not conform, then you'll find a reason to justify that. And I'll tell you, that's a much more empowering, positive, non-conforming decision that you could ever make. So what's the last thing we want to talk about, Lee? What you wrote down.
Oh, did you talk about this bit already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can't read it.
It says, so Lee wrote this down. You're inevitably left with the choice of defending what is or changing it. Now, I love that. I think that is really, really powerful. So again, you're inevitably left with the choice of defending what is or just simply changing it. And that comes into, are we really happy to conform? And if you do conform, you are left with a choice of defending why you conformed, or you'll change it and don't conform. So I've had lots of areas in my life that I've had to conform, and I've shared some of them here tonight. And, there's so many when you really sit and reflect about situations that you maybe got in trouble with, whether it be in school, whether it be going through a workplace. Is there something that you didn't conform with that tell us, share something that you didn't conform with. And I want you to think about it. Don't give me a real story like I've shared with you, something that you didn't conform with. Was it in a workplace? Did you not bank the money and take it home? What did you do? Did you not conform? I
know Jacinta said something a bit higher up, and it said she got the cane because her uniform was too short.
Yeah, see? She had to conform, and a lot of people wanted to buck the system, so they would sew up their uniforms. The girls, I had a sister that did that. The uniforms were meant to be knee length or below.
You're on your sister again. I hope she's
no,
not
this
watching.
is my other sister. And she would sew up her dress so that it was thigh height, And that was not acceptable at a Catholic girls' school. They didn't like thigh-high dresses, and she got suspension. So, and that was the other thing. See, going to a boys' school, if we didn't conform with certain things, we would get detention. And we also, here's a thing I don't know if I've shared with you. They actually had 2 things that they would give you. So if you didn't do something in class, you might have to write out the school rules. So if you broke a rule, the school rules were 15 rules that the school had put down. It was on an A4 piece of paper, and you had to write them out. And that was actually your punishment, was to go home and write out the school rules. And you'd be given how many times you had to do it. Not just once, but you might have to write it out 3 times. Because as we know, they talk about repetition is a way of learning. So when you repeat, write something, it sinks in and you learn, right? Then, if you actually didn't conform with something greater, there was what was called a definition of a gentleman. And it was an A4 page, full text, of what the definition of a gentleman is. Now, it would take 45 minutes to write out the definition of a gentleman, that full A4 page.
And you know this because you did it a few times.
Because I had to do it, and it was on a blue form. So
you were naughty at school.
And you had to get it, and you'd put it in your pocket, and you'd go, oh my God, I've got 3 definition of a gentleman I've got to write out tonight. And you had to hand them back into the office the next day. So, this is about conforming, but these things are about, does it make you stronger? So do all things that you conform to, are they bad? Are they bad?
Not
Are they all
necessarily.
things that you have to conform to bad? I would say no. I would say there's things that we conform to that, like driving on the wrong side of the road.
That's important.
It's important, right? You want to conform to make sure you go around the roundabout the right way, whatever country you live in. Because, of course, around the world, we have different directions on roundabouts. And you've got to conform. You can't just get on a roundabout and go hell for leather the wrong way.
No.
So there is things, but, I think some things are a good grounding. So Jacinda said lines. I remembered them so well. Thanks, Jacinda. Yeah, they were horrible, weren't they? I remember at school when I got into trouble and we had to write 100 times of whatever the rule was you broke. Yeah, I remember that too. At our school in Melbourne in the 90s, if we didn't wear a blazer off the school grounds, we would get detention. Boring. Like, seriously. Totally agree. But these are all things
I went to a public school. I didn't have all these rules.
But these are all things that made us conform. Now,
Mick didn't conform to trade unions.
Trade unions. On
one occasion, he was the only one who voted not to go on strike in 1,000 men.
Wow. Well, that's
good on you, Mick.
That's going against the grain.
Tara, I started shaving my legs in grade 8 to conform with the other girls. Otherwise, I would get teased.
Yeah, see? Mm-hmm. So you conformed to fit in. And that happens today. It happens, God, it happens in society everywhere.
It happens a lot today.
My goodness. You've got to be Instagrammable. So you need to conform.
We're Instagrammable. What is it? Flick your hair, check your nails? What's that song?
Yes, that is a song. What does Debbie Sue say? Yep, I didn't dress in the same way as my senior management. High heels, high hairstyles, skirts and dresses. And I was told that I didn't wear dresses and skirts, etc.
I wouldn't get a promotion.
That is ridiculous. Oh my goodness. And you know what? It is. It's about conforming. So society, there's some things that are good. And I, to this day, I send my son to a Catholic school and he has to conform. But what I say to him is that it teaches him values and rules. And in life, you're going to go into lots of situations that you're going to need to either conform or comply or not. And you've got to learn to know when to conform and comply and when to rock the boat and rock the system. So I think there's a learning in it for all of us, how we conform, and there's advantages and disadvantages. You've got to be your own. You've got to be your own leader. You've got to be your own person. So, but there is certainly situations that require conforming, right? Like, you live a rock concert and you want to catch a bus and you've got to queue up like a sheep and queue in the lines like everyone else. You've got to conform.
What about going to the concert? You've actually got to sit in your designated seats, right?
You do.
You can't just sit anywhere.
No. So there's things in life we have to conform to.
My non-conformist self I was a medical examiner in hippie clothing many moons ago, and high energy wasn't allowed back then.
Wow, yeah. And Nick says,
Got
the cane regularly.
So all the boys on the line were very naughty at school by the sound
Oh,
of it.
it's what they did. It was that form of punishment to keep the boys in line. The girls didn't get the cane.
No, we got the rule.
Not that I know of.
I think.
Well, there was dusters thrown across the room. Come on, who had a duster thrown at their head from the teacher from the front of the room? I'll put my hand up. And the duster, they would turn around with a duster and just peg it.
So naughty.
Oh my goodness, funny stuff that we actually went through. Imagine doing that today. Goodness me, I'd be up at the school. Yeah,
You'd be in trouble.
I'd be up at the school and first step saying, "How dare you isolate and treat my son like that? Try sitting in the wrong seat in an aeroplane." Yeah, that's not conforming.
No. Well, probably nowadays you could. There's probably a few spare seats.
There'd be a few spare seats.
Anyway, all right. Well, a lot of time.
Well, I enjoyed that topic. That's a great topic. I hope you've enjoyed it too. And thanks for sharing your comments. Those that have shared a little bit about conforming, fingers slapped with a wooden ruler. Yep, that was another one. I learned to play the piano, and my grandmother was teaching me, and she would have a 1 meter timber ruler beside her. And when I dropped my wrists on the piano, she would whack them so that I lift my wrist while I was learning to play the piano.
You can play the piano?
Oh, you didn't know that?
No. Something new you learn every day.
Something new.
We just don't have a piano.
I can play Chariots of Fire on the piano.
Is that the only thing?
I learned a lot through hearing. I couldn't read music, didn't like reading the music. Funny that my son doesn't either. Doesn't take much to get the cane, says Gabby. Thanks for the great convo, says Dee. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. And, each week, and we weren't here last week. We had the week off, and prior to that, what happened the week prior to that? Oh, we just had an update. So good to be back on topic. We will be back next week, and we'll let you know what day we're going to be doing it next week. And we'll pick another exciting topic to talk about. But this is really great with what's going on out there. You know, do you find yourself
recital, Simon? Have you got a piano, Bernie?
Do you find yourself conforming in life? And if you do, like go the other way. Do you remember I just want to close off on this. Do you remember when we went to a concert recently and we turned up at the concert and there was these really big queues and they were all in a single file, yet at the gate there was like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 rows of people, but behind that they'd gone into this one big queue and it was gone for hundreds of meters. And I walked up and I looked at the queue and I said to Lee, "Come on." She goes, "What?" I said, "Let's go. We're not standing in this queue. I don't do queues." And we walked up to the gate where the 10 rows were and just walked in. And do you know what? What happened, Lee, once we did that?
Everyone followed.
Everyone followed. Other people thought we were brave and we actually broke or didn't conform with standing in the queue, and they followed and actually then filled up the 10 rows. So sometimes you've got to be a rhino and break out of the herd and break out of the pack. And
you can be the rhino.
Be the
I
rhino.
don't want to be a rhino.
Be the rhino. And when you're the rhino, you know what? Others will follow.
So Bernie said she's going to find or make a piano.
I can't promise anything. It's been a long time. But look, thank you. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Have a wonderful evening. Have a great week ahead. And we'll look forward to catching up with you real soon.
Bye.